To improve elevated blood pressure, you really need to understand the actual cause of your elevated blood pressure. And you can't just view it like, I'm going to avoid salt, because that's not usually going to fix it for most people. And to make things worse, the only explanations that we really hear about are like genetics and age, and those things can certainly be factors for a wide variety of reasons. But if those were the actual underlying causes of high blood pressure, then we wouldn't be hearing from people around the world daily that have reduced their blood pressure naturally. So just don't view it like these are the cards that you were dealt and sorry about your luck. This is what you're stuck with. And of course, we also hear about, lifestyle choices are causing your blood pressure to go high, but what does that mean? I'm wearing blue shirts. Is that a lifestyle choice? What are you talking about here? So in this video, I'm going to explain the 3 most common causes of elevated blood pressure. And the weird thing about these underlying causes is that they're going to make sense to you. That's weird, right? Let's jump in.
TC Hale is not a doctor and does not claim to be a doctor or licensed in any type of medical field. Don't be an idiot and use anything heard on the show as medical advice. This information should be used for educational purposes only, and you should contact your doctor for any medical advice. Now get off me.
Now, in most cases, not all, but when blood pressure is going high, something is thickening the blood and causing the body to require more pressure to push that blood through the system. So what do you think would flow through your veins easier? Something the consistency of red wine or something like pancake syrup? Pancake syrup is going to take a lot more pressure to push through the system. So if there's something thickening up the blood, that's going to cause more pressure needed and raise our blood pressure. So that's why you see a lot of people that are dealing with like kidney disease or kidney issues, they'll have high blood pressure because the kidneys don't have the ability to filter out all the minerals and filth and junk that they should be filtering out and keeping the blood easy to flow through the system. This is where we come up with that solution of, hey, avoid salt because there's too many minerals in here and we don't want to put more minerals in there. So that kind of makes sense. There's kind of some validity there to that, and we don't want to put more minerals in a system that already has too much that it can't deal with. But a lot of times it's because the person is just using normal table salt that the body can't use super well. If you can use like an unrefined salt that contains a lot more usable minerals and mineral cofactors that the body can use, the body can process those a little bit better. Still, the better solution is to fix what's going wrong. Help the body get rid of these minerals and junk the way that it's supposed to. A lot of times the kidneys aren't working correctly because they don't have the resources they need to function correctly, or they're being asked to do more than the job that they should be doing. First of all, a person needs to be drinking some water to help the kidneys filter junk out. A lot of people don't really know what water is. They're like, yeah, I had a little water when I brushed my teeth and I drank some coffee that has water in it. But a person often needs to really drink water to help the body wash junk out. And the other biggest problem, which is the #1 most common cause for elevated blood pressure, is malfunctions in the digestive system. So we need the body to be able to detox the way that it wants to detox. So here's how it works. When we eat food, the stomach makes hydrochloric acid to help us acidify that food and start the breakdown process so that we can break that food down and access the nutrients in that food. And then when that acidified food leaves the stomach, the gallbladder squirts bile down onto the acidic product to neutralize those acids. And this alkaline product hitting an acid product creates this sizzle that really helps us bust the food apart and pull all the nutrients out of that food. The problem is that a lot of people's bile will become too thick and sticky to flow correctly. Now, this is really problematic for high blood pressure because most people know that the liver filters filth and toxins out of the body, but what a lot of people don't know is that the liver puts that filth into the bile that it produces, and then it stores it in the gallbladder for when it's needed when we eat food. The problem is when that bile becomes too thick and sticky to flow correctly, then the bile isn't coming down and neutralizing the acids leaving the stomach, but that also means that the bile doesn't continue to move through that intestinal tract and then go out the back door when we poop like a champion. This is the body's main exit strategy for filth and toxins. The liver filters out the filth and toxins, puts that in the bile, and then the bile moves through the intestinal tract and carries those toxins out the back door. But when that bile isn't moving, the toxins aren't leaving the body and they get reabsorbed into the system and get reassimilated. So now this filth starts to accumulate as the liver gets overwhelmed trying to filter out the same toxins over and over again. It just can't keep up. Now there's too much filth in the system and the body's asking the kidneys, hey, can you help out? You remove some stuff. And they're like, hey, I'm not supposed to remove solid stuff. I'm not supposed to poop stuff out. I just removed these liquid kind of waste things. So the kidneys are being asked to help out things that they shouldn't be doing, which can lead to an overwhelmed kidney or kidney problems. And now this filth and junk can't leave the system. It starts to thicken up the blood, and now we need to raise the pressure needed to push that thick blood through the system. So what's weird is when things actually make sense like that. There's a lot of things in our world now, whether it's medications or ingredients in our food or toxins in our environment, that have the ability to thicken up the bile so it won't flow correctly. So this issue is extremely common. So if this is a problem for you, all of a sudden your high blood pressure makes total sense. Now, the second most common cause of elevated blood pressure is elevated insulin and elevated blood sugar. So what's great about this is you can check this at home. You can get a glucometer at most pharmacies for $30, $40. And you can check your fasting blood sugar right when you wake up in the morning before you eat or drink anything. And if that fasting blood sugar is over 100, that's a strong sign that you're dealing with elevated blood sugar problems and high insulin problems. When blood sugar goes high, insulin's going to go high with that in most cases. So when we're looking at that blood pressure number, we're looking at things like, the number of minerals in the system, the amount of glucose, protein a little bit, and then filth and junk and toxins. So glucose is a big factor in what we're looking at here. Another thing to consider is that it appears that when insulin levels are very low for a variety of reasons, that it can cause a person to pee out too many minerals. But a lot of people also believe that when insulin is too high, it can restrict the ability to pee out minerals. So now with high insulin levels, we not only have the glucose that's causing that insulin to go high, that glucose is thickening up the blood, but if the high insulin is restricting your ability to pee out your salts, now those minerals are going to thicken up that blood and raise blood pressure as well. So if your fasting blood sugar is over 100, you might need to take some steps to allow blood sugar to come down for at least part of the day and allow insulin to come down. Because a big problem is that blood sugar will come down pretty quickly, but it takes insulin a lot longer for it to come down. So if it's staying elevated, it can be restricting your ability to pee out all those minerals and raising your blood pressure even after blood sugar has come down. So you might need to reduce the carbs, sugars, alcohol and liquid sugars that you're eating. Those alcohols and liquid sugars are really the worst, like sodas and stuff like that, because that liquid sugar or alcohol that processes like liquid sugar will hit your system a lot faster and harder and raise blood sugar a lot higher faster and spike that insulin a lot as well. So the liquid sugars are a really big problem. But if you can reduce those carbs and sugars and liquid sugars, or just cycle them into your diet, on specific days or specific meals, then it can help the blood sugar come down and allow insulin to come down so that the insulin can be a little more receptive to the cells. When insulin is high all day long, all the time, your cells become less receptive. We become insulin resistant, and then the body's like, oh man, the body's not listening to insulin, I'm just going to have to make more insulin. So now we get higher levels of insulin, the body becomes insulin resistant even more, and then a la peanut butter sandwiches, we're type 2 diabetic. So we really want to take steps to reduce those carbs. And if you need help doing that, my book, Kick Your Fat in the Nuts, will walk you through how to cycle those carbs the right way so you can bring your insulin down. And the book is available on Amazon, but I'm going to put a link below this video where you can get the whole thing for free, and that'll walk you through understanding how to get that fasting blood sugar number to come down. The book also will help you understand how to look at, is my bile flowing correctly? And if it's not, steps I can take to improve that issue as well. And if you hate to read, we also have a totally free digestion course that'll walk you through those same steps. And we'll put the links to both of those free tools in the description below this video for you. But what's great about this information and this piece of knowledge that you now have acquired is that you can just watch your fasting blood sugar in the morning. You can check it, once a week or so and see, is it going in the right direction? Are the steps that I'm taking moving me in the right direction, or do I need to try something else? So it's really great when you can look at your own bioindividuality and understand the underlying cause of the problem for you, since it might be different from your friends. Now, the third most common cause of elevated blood pressure is an overly sympathetic imbalance. So our autonomic nervous system runs a lot of our bodily functions behind the curtains. We don't really have to think about our heart beating, it just kind of does that. And the autonomic nervous system is in charge of a lot of those things. So there's a sympathetic side, which is our fight or flight state, and then there's a parasympathetic side, which are rest and digest state. And the body will move back and forth between these states as needed. But For a wide variety of reasons, a person can get stuck in one of these states too often or most of the time. And when they're stuck in one of these states, it can create a lot of problems. So if someone's stuck in this sympathetic fight or flight state, the fight or flight state is there to help the body function at a higher level in an emergency type situation. So we're being chased by a lion, that's an emergency. The body will go into this fight or flight state. It will change how it operates to help our body get like an immediate fuel source so that we can run away and survive from this attack. The problem is when there's a lot of stress in our life, it can push us into this fight or flight state all the time, and the body doesn't know that the stress is because you're in traffic or a report is late. It just views the stress that you're experiencing as an emergency, as you need to survive from being chased by a lion. The biggest problem for this overly sympathetic state when it comes to high blood pressure is this sympathetic state. The body can constrict the vascular system, which kind of closes it down a little bit, and now we need more pressure to push the blood through a tube that is now smaller. So when that vascular system is constricted, we need more pressure to push the blood through the system. So this can raise our blood pressure. The rip-off is that the stress might not be in your life. You might have a calm, relaxed life, but the stress could be coming from inside your body. Maybe you don't have the resources that your body needs to function correctly. Did you know that's why we eat food? We eat food to access minerals and vitamins and amino acids and fats and all these nutrients that the body needs for the functions of the body to be carried out correctly. And when those resources aren't coming in like they're supposed to, that's a real big stress to the body. That would be like you trying to pay $800 worth of bills with $12. That's stressful. So if a person's having digestive malfunctions, they're not breaking down their food correctly and they're not pulling all the nutrients out of that food. Maybe there's another stress in the body. Maybe there's some type of infection or digestive overgrowth of some type of infection that came in and set up camp and is having a party. A lot of these infections that are chronic go undiagnosed all the time, and the body's trying to deal with this invader, and it's creating a lot of stress and pushing the body into this fight or flight state. So what you can do is if you have a blood pressure cuff, and you can get one at a pharmacy for $30, $40 while you're picking up your blood glucose monitor, you can check your blood pressure and you can look at what's called a pulse pressure. So we find that by taking the systolic number, which is the top blood pressure number, and when we subtract the diastolic number, which is the bottom number. So if your blood pressure is 120/80, your pulse pressure would be 40. So you subtracted 80 from 120. So that's a great pulse pressure. But if your pulse pressure is over 46, that's a strong sign that you're leaning too far on the sympathetic fight or flight state, and you're probably constricting your vascular system and raising the pressure needed to push the blood through the system. So what's great is as you make changes to improve, the stress in your life or the stress in your body, you can watch this pulse pressure and see, am I doing things that's moving me in the right direction? So what's great about this information is that these are steps that you can take at home on your own. This is you putting your health back in your own hands. It's not leaving it up to someone else and boy, I really hope they figure this out. It's you taking the situation into your own control. So if you want to understand how to correct any of these underlying causes, because a lot of people will be dealing with more than one of these underlying causes at the same time. So to understand how to correct these issues, go down to the description below and find our video on how to lower blood pressure naturally. That'll walk you through the steps to correct these underlying causes that we talked about in this video. But we'll also put in the description below the link to that, get the book for free or the digestion course for free if you need more help walking through some of those steps. For now, since poor bile flow and an inability for the body to detox the way that it wants to detox is the most common cause for elevated blood pressure, go ahead and watch our video of 10 signs for poor bile flow. Check out to see if you might have some issues that are saying, hey, poor bile flow might be a problem for you. I can't wait to hear about your results.